Right. So let's get into it. Vision boards, goals, and making your dreams a reality. As we enter this new 2024 year, we are inundated through media about resolutions and goals for this new year. And here on the Wellness Within team, while we love a fresh new start, something like a new year brings, we also want to acknowledge that we are still in winter, which is a season of rest and slowness. We want to gently approach this topic, reminding you to do what feels right for you. As mentioned, there are resolutions, goals, visions, intentions, manifestations, and these are all common things that people like to start out a new year with. And this presentation will touch on some of the differences between them, as well as teach a few ways of creating your own and how to integrate all of them together. So, firstly, what is a goal? A goal involves the development of an action plan to motivate and guide us towards something. The difference between a goal and a simple desire is through deliberation and commitment, and ideally a deliberate thought, emotion, and behavior tied to your want. Research on goals speaks to their specificity being one of the most important things. I'm sure many of us have heard of SMART goals, and there's significant evidence to support setting SMART goals is key to actually obtaining the goal you set. Is your goal specific? Is it actually measurable? Is it achievable and realistic? And is it timely? What is the timeline in which you want to actually accomplish this goal? While we hear a lot about SMART goals, and it may seem self-explanatory, as you start creating your own, you might get confused. The difference in each between the difference in each stage. For example, measurable versus timely. What is the real difference? This is a great way to frame the letters of the acronym and ask yourself these questions when creating your goal. So, specifically, what is your goal? How can you measure your progress? Do you have the skills and resources to obtain this goal? And why is this goal important to you? What is the benefit to your life? And when will you actually achieve the goal that you've set out for yourself? Another approach to goal setting can be the ladder approach, starting at the bottom with where you're at and climbing to the top with where you want to be. What are some of the steps that we could add between where we're at and where we want to be if the goal is to be on my phone less? If anybody is able to provide some feedback here, turn their audio on and let me know. If the goal is for me to be on my phone less, and right now I'm spending too much time on my phone, what are some of the steps that I can take to do that?
You can also just type in the chat if you're not comfortable with talking. Darcy, can you see the chat or is it just me?
I can't, no.
Okay, so I'll read them then because
Thank you.
Brittany said set a time limit in your settings, which is an amazing strategy. That's something that I just found out about the other day that can actually give you an alarm when you've spent too much time on a certain app.
Yeah.
Sarah said set up some daily time limits for apps. So perfect. So it sounds like we're relying on the apps to keep us accountable as well.
Yeah. Something I have done is when I get home from work is putting my phone into my bedroom. And so I will every once in a while go to the bedroom and check it, but it's not like in my pocket or on the counter in front of me. So that's one of the steps that we can take too. But kind of making the steps more challenging as we go. So what's the first thing that we can do that would make it a little bit easier? And then adding to reach that final goal. So the ladder approach is another method. Okay. This is a quote that I love and really resonated with me from the book Atomic Habits by James Clear. I'll be referencing this a number of times throughout this presentation. And he says that we do not rise to the level of our goals, but instead fall to the level of our systems. So you can have the fanciest, shiniest goal there is, but if you don't have the system in place to support that goal, achieving it is unlikely. SMART goals and ladder goals are good examples of creating a system that supports the goal that you're trying to reach. Okay, next up, vision boards. A vision board can be a visual collage of images, pictures, quotes, and affirmations. that act as an ongoing motivator or inspiration for us to achieving our goals and desires. Many people who create vision boards leave them in regularly viewed places, posted in their bedroom, in their office, or even as a screensaver on their phone. If you have the Canva app, which you can actually get the free service for that one, they do offer a lot of sample vision boards. So you can put your own pictures and quotes into an already set out template. Another quote by James Clear, every action you take is a vote for the type of person you wish to become. So I like using this kind of quote as the inspiration behind the vision board in terms of what photos you're putting on there, what quotes you're putting on there. So a goal setting can often be seen as a chore, and vision boards can help to increase the excitement and almost romanticize the life and person we are creating for ourselves. Some questions to ask yourself. When James Clear talks about the person you want to become, it's a detailed visualization on who that person is. If we stick with the goal of me being on my cell phone less, how does that apply here? So the goal is to be on my phone less. The vision is to be somebody who is more present and more connected in their daily life. So what does that look like? Who do I see that person as? Somebody who is more present and connected. What do they look like? What do they feel like? How do they dress? What does their home look like? What do their connections with the people in their lives look like? And what images do I associate with that? And that's how you can create your vision board around some of the goals that you have. Next, manifesting. When we talk about goals, and especially vision boards, I also think it's only fair to bring in the topic of manifestation. We all have different ideas on what manifesting is and the degree to which we believe in it. But for the purposes of this presentation, let's place aside any assumptions we have and look at manifesting as a practice of bringing something into your life through belief. If you can dream it, you can do it. Believe it and it will happen. You can do anything you set your mind to. If any of these phrases ring a bell or are phrases you yourself have used before, then you are in the realm of manifestation. Manifestation came into mainstream culture back in 2006 with Rhonda Byrne's book, The Secret. Have any of you read it, heard of it? It was pretty popular for a while. The main idea of this law of attraction is that you ask the universe for something, you genuinely believe you already have it, and then the universe fulfills your request. Also, quite popular recently is the lucky girl syndrome. So, I am lucky, everything works out for me. This idea that comes with manifesting, and specifically the law of attraction, believing you already have what you're asking for, ties in well to the previous vision board slide on asking yourself, who do you want to be? Personally, asking the universe for $1 million in my bank account and then living like I have $1 million in my bank account sounds to me like a recipe for disaster. So, modifying this belief. If I want to be somebody with money, why? What does that look like? What does she get from having more money in her bank account? What does that life give her? So, really asking those questions that I put out on the vision board when you associate it with a goal or a desire that you have. There are two parts of manifesting that I do strongly believe in, and they are affirmations and gratitude. Through affirmations, we can chemically reframe and retrain our brains to believe something different. Have you ever heard of putting your thoughts on trial? This is a common therapy technique that it asks clients to find the evidence that actually supports their thought, or you can use it for feelings also. Affirmations or mantras are statements we can repeat to ourselves to change some of our poor, unhelpful, or even maladaptive beliefs about ourselves and the world around us. Here are a few affirmations I love and that you could maybe add to your own practice. So things like, I have amazing strength within me. I am not my past. I am safe and secure. I am loved. I am enough. I am confident. I am beautiful. I add value to this world. I have so much potential, and my peace is more important. Regularly repeating these kind of affirmations to yourself can really change your thoughts and beliefs about both yourself and the world around you. Next, gratitude. So, gratitude can be considered the feeling and recognition of appreciation and thankfulness for where one is and what one has, relishing in the experience, moments, and relationships with loved ones in their life, strongly and consistently associated with greater happiness. By focusing on what we do have and being grateful for the life we've been given, the breaths we are taking, our health, our families, our pets, um, etc., we can, as this quote says, we are associating with just overall greater happiness. So, what is important about gratitude is how grounding it can be. And while we're goal setting and vision boarding and manifesting, we can get caught up in too much forward thinking. And we wouldn't be therapists if we didn't remind you of the importance and value of mindfulness and present moment living as well. So, take a deep belly breath and what are you grateful for right now? Again, you can go ahead and put something into the chat.
Okay, there's a couple coming in. So my children and community is another one.
Mhm.
My children came in again, and also my health.
Yeah.
I think the health one is definitely, I mean, children as well and community, but health is one that I think we often take for granted as well.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Family has come
absolutely.
in.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I actually kind of get into this in the next slide, but when we look at gratitude practices, like writing down 3 things every day that you're grateful for, sometimes that feels overwhelming because we do think of the big things. So, yes, we're really grateful for our children. Can we say that every single day? And yes, you can. But what are like a lot of those smaller things too? So, like, were you really grateful for your warm cup of coffee this morning? Or were you really grateful to have like 5 minutes in the shower alone? Or were you really grateful that somebody scraped off your car for you? Or things like that. So some of the smaller things we forget about, and maybe it's those little moments of like joy or peace that are brought to us too.
Mhm.
Which really leads into the next slide, which is a question if we've all heard of glimmers. So glimmers are the opposite to triggers, those moments in your day that make you feel joy, happiness, peace, or gratitude. And in practice, I actually like to call this your joy inventory. So, creating an inventory list of those joyful moments. So, again, those moments that bring you happiness, peace, or gratitude, and then becoming grateful for each of those small moments.
Can I jump in there for a sec, Darcy?
Yeah,
Yeah,
please.
so just thinking about the glimmers, sometimes when we're really struggling, say at work, and work is something we're having a hard time finding joy in, or we're having a hard time noticing those gratitudes, it can be a really great practice to write those glimmers down that happen at work and keep a tally of them that just specific to like one area of our life. So recently a teacher came in and they were really struggling with the classroom dynamics and just managing the behaviors that were coming up. And so we actually did a list of things that have happened in the school year so far that have been glimmers. A parent reaching out, a student finally understanding something they've been really working hard at, a day where it went smoothly for them and they were surprised, but they just kind of went over it really quickly because the next day was a hard day. So just taking note of that and collecting some of that evidence in stock is really helpful, especially when it's like a specific area of our life that we're really trying to see the gratitude within. So that's a nice really strategy to create inventory specific as well.
Yeah, I love that. It actually just reminds me of someone, a situation recently too, with somebody in healthcare struggling, obviously within the healthcare field, which we all know is a bit of a mess, and um, also trying to find those glimmers. But it was interesting because when we were talking about it, it was actually personal life, just overall glimmers in the day. But then the glimmer that came out was um, things that patients say that make them laugh or like make them actually feel needed and wanted and useful and helpful. And this person's family had said before, you have so many funny stories. I wish you would write them down. And So they said, okay, I'm going to write them and put them in a jar. And I don't even need to read them. Just knowing that I have a jar of all of these great things that happen at work is enough to remind me why I'm in this field. And I think
Yep.
that's a great reminder. Yeah.
Especially for those harder days.
Yeah. Um, so lastly, I would like to touch on intentions. So they could be defined as an aim, a thing, or a plan. I love setting intentions or themes for the year. And a great example was provided by Alex L., the best-selling author of How We Heal. This is very small writing, so I'll read them out here. But Alex L.'s own intentions for 2024 are as follows. And I do hope that maybe you could take some of these on as your own and a few might resonate with you. So in 2024, I intend to nurture and stay close to the people that bring ease into my life. In 2024, I intend to do more of what I love and less of what I don't. In 2024, I intend to learn the power and peace that self forgiveness offers. In 2024, I intend to learn how to trust myself more. And in 2024, I intend to love myself more freely and openly, even when others can't or won't. In 2024, I intend to preserve and share my energy with people who value me and my time. And in 2024, I intend to not go back to people or places or things that rob me of my peace, worth, and joy. In conclusion, I would like to send you into 2024 with the belief that this next chapter is going to be amazing for you. You can set goals, build a vision board, manifest who you want to be and the life you want to have, and set intentions for your weeks, months, and years ahead. Are there any questions or anything at this point?
I feel like you covered a lot, Darcy. That's amazing. And I think it has opened up a whole bunch of discussion questions in my brain. So no pressure to participate in any way. I know some of the people on the call are busy doing other things right now at the same time, but just curious, like, is there any gratitude practices that anyone else already does that they could share with the group that we might be able to pick up on our own? If you're comfortable sharing. If not, I can also share one. Okay, so nothing's coming in right now. So one of the ones that I do is I actually have a jar that sits on my nightstand, and there's sticky notes beside it with a pen as well. And my husband and I have this kind of unwritten communication here where when we are feeling like we need a little pick-me-up, we start writing down our gratitudes and sticking them in the jar. So we don't talk about it, but we just know that when one of us is starting to write something and putting it in the jar, it's like that indication of maybe we need to check in with one another because that person's needing a little extra. And so when we do that, it's kind of nice because sometimes it comes and goes. And that best part of it being like an intention rather than a resolution, I could have a resolution saying that's going to be my gratitude practice every single day, or I can have an intention to try to use this practice to bring gratitude to my life. And so it comes and goes. We go months without using it. Sometimes we go every day, 4 months using it. It really depends. And then when the jar gets full, or we just feel like we need to have a pick me up as a family, we pour them all out and reread them. And it's so great to read them because we don't always remember those little gestures that were made in a day that we really felt were really important that day, and we shoved them in the jar and then never thought about them again. So it allows us to really like narrow in on that. So I always encourage that, but also with the intention of like, it does not have to be at every single day for 2024. That's like a lot of days and a lot of commitment, and we can set ourselves up for feeling like we're going to fail, and that's not going to help. So intention is to bring that more into our day to day.
Mhm. I think we both shared this on our social media recently too, but uh, the last day of every month, writing out in detail a memory from that month that you really enjoyed. So, like a really fun day with a friend, something great that happened with your kids, something by yourself that you loved, and folding it up and putting it in a jar. And then on New Year's of the following year, reading your 12 great memories from the year. And I
Yeah.
just really love that for those hard years, especially when something really big and hard and sad does happen, that often paints our entire year as a really difficult, challenging year. And while it was, there is still some beauty and happiness that I'm sure happened. And being able to focus on that. And we
And
could make that smaller. Like you could do that on a monthly basis. At the end of every week, do like a little note that of something great that happened during your week. And then on the last day of every month, read those four memories.
And I just wanted to add in that it's not that we're broken in any way, that we tend to go to the bigger negative things in our life and remember those, because those actually have a very lasting impact on us. And the positives do too, but we just spend less focus on those typically. And that's our survival instinct. So it's not anything wrong with you as a person. It's just that we as human beings want to survive. And therefore we take tally of the things in our life that might be risky, might have made us feel unsafe, or might have hurt us in some way. And that's what we kind of hold on to. So that's obviously a more in-depth discussion in the therapy world if you're interested in exploring that, but something to just be mindful of if you're having a hard time really focusing on seeing the good things throughout the course of a long period of time. Our survival instincts can sometimes get in the way of that. So just wanted to put that out there. There are some feedback coming in. So one of them is sharing one high and one low as a family every evening. And I really, really love that. That's such a wonderful thing as a family, because it also teaches our littles to think in these different ways too, where typically it's like, how was your day? But to encourage them to think in different, more specific ways. That's a really great one. Thank you. Another one is I try to notice when I'm super comfortable, clothing, warmth, etc., and just soak it in for a moment. Yes, that's
And
awesome.
I love
That one's really nice. The self-soothing, we just overlook that so easily. So that's a really great one. And someone was asking about slides, and we can absolutely send over a slide deck for people who might need to explore this a little bit more. Is there any other ones that wanted to be shared?
I did actually try and find for the slide deck and wasn't able to. I'm not sure if people have seen it, but where it's almost the like scattered word uh sheet and it says find your intention for the new year and you can find like the words that stand out to you in one or two. And I do love that for an intention too is just if you Google search a list of intentions or intention words, you can find themes. So I think my theme for 2023 was like rest and celebration, for example, and like picking those two words that you really want to keep coming back to all year and what that actually means for you.
I'm actually just going to put in the chat the Canva link too for the templates for vision boards, because if you are on the creative side and you want to plug some pictures in there or some words, that might be a really great way of doing that.
Mm.
The other discussion that I was curious about is just in regards to affirmations. What do you recommend, Darcy? And sorry to put you on the spot here, but I'm open for discussion about it. Do you recommend to have like specific affirmations that are like geared towards one task? Like if I want to be a millionaire, are all of my affirmations going to be specific about that specific goal? Or should we keep them general in the like, I am loved and I am successful, or whatever that be? What do you think?
I think it's a bit of both. And I find that in practice too, that we kind of have our typical patterns, our typical like maladaptive beliefs about ourselves, which I think should always be there. The like I am enough, I am loved, I'm beautiful, those kind of things, and repeating those to yourself regularly. But then there's also phases of your life and like things that you're going through in your life that you might need that reminder regularly. Um, so, like, if you're also going through a separation, then I think there are specific affirmations that could be added at that time, and you might need them just for that time. So, I think it changes. I think, like, motherhood, there's specific affirmations that would come very specific to that. And there's times that you need that, like, again, it's kind of a form of self-soothing as well.
Mhm.
Um, those words of affirmation for yourself, or and sorry, that transitions, I guess, as your needs transition.
Yeah, so they can be not just for 2024. They could just be for getting us
True.
through specific days.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's a really
I
great.
find too people's need with affirmations change in how they do it. So some people, it is the like stand in the mirror and say this to myself. Some people is like writing it out and reading it before bed every night. And then some people I find for myself, it's just something I have to just keep saying in my own mind randomly. So sometimes I'm driving and I remind myself, and sometimes I'm getting ready in the morning and remind myself. And it's definitely depends on the what you need.
And I think when we're creating them, we really have to make them specific to ourselves too. So I can share personally, I was given 3 affirmations to say in the mirror, and it felt more overwhelming to read them and look in the mirror as I'm reading them until they felt really genuine and just comfortable saying them. So I know that it wasn't a good fit for me. So when I'm able to say, like, what do I actually need to hear? Or what would I like someone else to say to me to encourage me through this? What would I say to someone else to really support them in this challenging time? Those are the questions I ask to then come up with the affirmation that feels good for me. And then I'm not reading it off a paper because it actually just feels genuine and it feels like I'm giving myself a pep talk. It feels like self-talk. It feels like my voice, not someone else's voice. So that can be really hard when we see things coming up, especially on Google or Pinterest or all of the social media forums where they say these are affirmations to say every day. But if they don't feel right, what they're not going to do the same thing that you need them to do, right?
And
Yeah.
yeah, if they're not something you need, like if I put a personal one on those examples, and that is that my peace is more important. And that's a regular one for me that as somebody who overcommits to a lot, I'm constantly needing to say my peace is more important. And what does that peace actually look like?
Yeah, yeah, that's wonderful. Someone had mentioned that they noticed affirmations are also a really good mood booster, especially on those days where we have difficulties getting started on the day or the task. Yeah. One of my favorite ones is I can do hard things, a Glennon Doyle quote, but when I'm really like, I don't know how I'm going to get through this, it's like, I can do hard things. I can do this. And that really is that enough to just get me going. So
Mhm.
yeah, this is really great. I feel like I had other questions, but I think we answered them all.
Yeah, I do think these all tie together really well. And depending on the type of person you are, um, maybe just an intention is what you need. Maybe just a few affirmations is what you need. Maybe one very specific goal is what you need. Like you can take from this what you need for sure, but they do all work together also. So you can have your overarching manifestation, then you can have your vision board, then you can have your specific goals, and your vision board can have your intentions. Like there's lots of ways to run with each of these themes, but I think you have to make it specific to what it is that you're looking for.
And it doesn't have to happen all in January where you put all of these together, right? So as we've talked about, even just the intentions and the affirmations, those might shift. We might manifest something middle of the year. It does not always have to happen in January. There is a lot of pressure with it being January, New Year's resolutions, those sort of things. And if you were here for the wellness webinar in December, we did talk about like ditch the resolutions and bring on the intentions, right? So bring on the reflections, bring on the intentions, and you can do that at any time of the year. So it's not just a right now thing.
Mhm. It's winter. It's a time of rest.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, I did also want to note about if you enjoyed today's session or do have any questions or feedback, I will stick around for a little bit and you can go ahead and ask those questions. And to please register for our next session, which is understanding the 5 love languages to improve your relationship with your self, partners, and children. And of course, if you're interested in working with any of the therapists on our team, you can reach out via the contact information provided and have a free consultation with any one of us.
Yeah, so thanks for coming. I do see there is a question here that says, do you ladies have any book recommendations? So I know Darcy, you mentioned a few today. Do you mind repeating those, or could we send them out in an email of some recommendations? Which
Yeah,
would you prefer?
yeah. So the one that is the Atomic Habits by James Clear. Highly recommend. It's very practical. Um, Sometimes I find self-help books a little too up there, and this one's very practical. It gives you the philosophy, but also like the in practice, and I think that's great. So yeah, highly recommend that one. The other one was The Secret, which I wouldn't say is actually a recommendation of mine, but an interesting read.
Okay, and if any other ones come up, we'll be sure to share them on our social or send them out to the group as well. There's so many. You're right. I really have a
Yeah.
resistance with some of them. Kaylee had mentioned High Five Habit by Mel Robbins. Oh, I have yet to read that one, but I do love Mel Robbins. She's a really great person to follow. And the best part about her is that she actually she's a professional. She knows her stuff versus it being, I have a little bit of resistance with some influencing that happens in the social media world, which is exactly why like wellness within webinars have come about, is because we want to make sure that that information is accurate that you're getting. Mel Robbins is a wonderful person to follow. She knows her stuff. So thank you for sharing that. Okay.
Did you say 5-5? It's called five.
High Five Habit.
Okay.
Yeah.
5-5 is like a technique used within manifestation also. So I'm sure there's some connections to that.
Awesome. Okay.